We were all chatting, everybody. We just got lost of time here. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Amazing Skill Modelers Sunday Hangout. I'm your host extraordinaire, Jack, and Amazing Skill Modelers is a Google Plus and Facebook community of scale modelers reaching across all scale modeling genres, mediums, and to encourage friendships from around the world. A little slim tonight with the usual suspects to help me kill time, but I am certain we can do a pretty good job of it. So if you want to join us, the live chat is open. So if you're watching live, it is open. So bring your questions, comments, all are welcome today. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, suggest. And I have to say that Mark Dunmore says he would have joined us, but he's got a ravaging cold. He says it's just not doing him any good. So he's going to be joining us on the live chat. So hi there, Mark. And George. Hello, George. I hope you're at home, kick back, relaxing, listening in, or at least maybe in your garage working on your bike or something, listening to us. As long as you're not at work, George. So that's my point. Thanks for joining us for the live chat. We've got nothing to talk about. So let me get started with the nothing. Community builds. As you see, the two communities, Facebook and Google Plus, have the same community picture, community cover. It is the Apollo 11 astronauts, and we are now commemorating their 49th years ago that the two of them landed on the moon and walked it, I think, about a day, if I'm not mistaken. I came right back. That makes for a long work day, I guess. So it's just been 5 years for Amazing Scaled Modelers too. So I put that up because of some things seem to have coincided all at the same time. Yeah, Real Space. That's one of our community builds, as well as naval, nautical, things that float, even airplanes that are on boats normally. That's acceptable as a community build too, because somebody said, what do you call it? The Tomcat, the F-14. Yes, that would, because it's carried on an aircraft carrier. I like to see like one of those airplanes, like back in the day, like I think in World War I, they had these like airplanes on these like stilts, sort of, and they kind of like pushed them off the boat. They somehow took off and flew. But they had nowhere to land. I think they had the
well, you had pontoon boats, and you also had, after the First World War, you had all the seaplanes. The seaplanes were a big industry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's, you could interpret nautical if you're an airplane builder. But if you're a car builder, you're kind of poop out of luck. You'd have to do this. Well, I don't know. Amphibious car. Maybe a James Bond amphibious car, if there's such a thing. And also, what else? Real Space, the nautical, wood build. Well, I've been working with wood today, but not on a model, on my new workbench. And I got to say, I discovered the muscles that I haven't used in a while, and I am a little bit in pain. So a little later on, I'm going to get me some ibuprofen. So that's starting to come together, and I hope to be able to assemble a video to show you how I did it, because I kind of want some sort of automation involved in this thing too. I'm not sure yet. I think I just might. But anyway, without further ado, I just want to say hi to Dave. I haven't seen him in a month. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing good, Jack. How are you today?
I'm okay, I suppose, yeah. Hey, I can probably open the window. Maybe I can run around on screen in my underwear. You know what? I haven't said that in a while.
It's good that you're wearing them. We appreciate that.
I'm wearing underwear, yes. That was way back in the old days. Way back. Now I'm going to run around in underwear. While you talk, I'll just go ahead and do that.
Well, I've been working on my O-scale brass locomotive, and so I got all the railing done on it. The front there, on the back there, and top there, I got my holes plugged up there. And so I basically what I have to do, I gave it kind of a bath today to get some of the flash off of it and the flux. So what I did is I used hydrochloric acid, which basically is toilet bowl cleaner, and used it on there, and boy, it just went to town on it, and I prettied it up. It looks more coppery than brass, but it gets down really down into the base metal. And then the inside, I haven't hit it with it yet, so it looks way different. That looks grungy.
You to do it on the inside? I mean, the outside, I see the point, but
yeah. Well, then my next bath I'm going to give it. It's going to be a mixture of white vinegar, which is a form of it's very acidic, and then salt. And I'll let that sit, warm it up, let it sit for about 20 minutes, and then it'll even look shinier. It'll clean all the little copper joints up or solder joints up and stuff on it. And then I'll start prepping all the gaps here. I'm going to use tulip fabric paint to fill in all the gaps. Learn that trick from Steve Neal. That's what he does on his models. And I did a couple tests. It works really good. And I'm going to simulate weld joints with it. And then I'll let that sit for about 3 days. And then I'll shoot it with the primer. And then after that, we're going to paint it. And so that's where we're at on that. And then the other thing is, let me put this down here. So then I've been working on the number boards. Yeah. Why is that reversed on the camera? There we go.
It's reversed on camera, yeah.
Hate when I have. So anyway, so how I did that is I took 2 sheets of clear styrene, and these are water decals. So I put one sheet of styrene, put the white background on it, then put the other decal right on top of it, and then I let it dry, and then I put epoxy, clear epoxy, and I sandwiched it together. And so that way I wanted something that it will protect the numbers, and this is lightable, so I can put a backlight on, it'll light up. But this will all get trimmed down. I just left it on there so that way, basically where that black border is, that's actually going to be the actual size of it, and it'll get fitted up behind. They'll get fitted up in there from behind, and that's what I've been doing. And it's no fun putting that railing on. It's all these. Let me click it. So all these here are individual pieces, and so all those had to be one at a time.
Oh wow!
Start all the stance on it first, and and I had to form all this. I had patterns, so I formed it, and then sometimes I didn't like so I actually had to look off of actual photos of them. And because I had a little question about that, but the pattern was correct on that. So, and then so basically, when it's painted, it's going to be painted Western Pacific colors. So it's going to be painted silver, and then it has an orange stripe on it, and this top will be black. That was one of their paint schemes. And then the other end of it, the truck section, I did paint those. Grab them here. So these here, this is just a real rough paint. So I got these painted. These are gonna be silver, and I got those painted. So, and you can see all the detail on them, the springs and all that.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow. And they function. See, they move.
Oh, geez. Well,
yeah.
Well, I think that's going to be heavy, yes. I think
yeah. It's all functional. And then this here, I have some airlines that go on it, and it'll go up in there, and it'll kind of, when you have the body on it, it'll go up and behind it, so you won't see the ends of them.
Right.
So yeah. I got a little slop out. I got to clean that up there, but yeah. Yeah,
Your DCS unit, does that get mounted to the chassis or to the body?
it's going to get mounted up into the body. The speaker's already in it.
Yeah.
The lights, all the lighting is going to be all up into the shell, the body of it, and then it'll just plug into that. And there's 4 screws that hold this down, and so this weighs by itself. This weighs 1.9 pounds, and then that shell weighs about almost 2 3/4 pounds. So it's going to be pretty heavy when it's all done. So. Anyway, that's where we're at with that. I've been, like I said, I've been busy whatever time I have, I work on it a little bit. So that's all I have, Jack.
Ah, you have more. I just put an I think no, I guess I didn't. Yeah, I think we're going to talk more about the metal building. You're saying that's going to be fully functional. It's an H scale, did you say?
O scale.
O scale. Okay, I'm sorry. HO is half of O, and it's an O scale. So yeah, okay, an O scale.
And then the next one above that's G scale. That's Garden Railroad.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I think they're in almost like one's like half size the other, and the other's the other half size, and so on. Like N scale is supposed to. No, I don't think the N scale is half of HO, is it?
N scale is smaller than HO.
I think it's almost a third. Yeah. I think it's about a third. Yeah. Then there's one smaller. Was it XO?
T scale, isn't it? T scale or Z scale? Z scale.
Yeah, there's one smaller than N. Yeah,
tiny.
N scale.
Of course, they have the kind you can ride on. Yeah, like the 7.5 inch track.
Yeah.
And those would break close to 144, wouldn't it? Or
what's that?
N scale would be somewhere between 100 to 144 scale.
It's pretty small.
In around there. Yeah.
And Z scale would be about 200.
Yeah, it's like, I would say it's not even half the size of N scale. I mean, it is really tiny. Yeah.
Never mind me. I'm just trying to find something on my makeshift desk. So yes, soon enough, you're going to need a microscope to be building models.
Yeah. Get that down. Big magnifying glass.
Right, exactly. So I think what we're going to talk about is not only just scales. I think we're going to, and I tried to do this. How about metal versus paper modeling? So I think I got the 2 experts I'm going to get about the 2. So we can have a conversation because we all know what plastic model building goes. And quite frankly, Dave, I have no idea what that all entails. If it's similar to paper or not? Because paper, you basically cut the pieces, and then you roll them, fold them, stick them together for the most part.
Metal's very similar, but we can talk about that. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, Jim. How you doing, Jim?
I'm pretty good there, Jack. Yeah, I don't know when this kit I ordered for my sister's birthday is going to show up, so I'm getting itchy. I think I'm gonna pretty well get ready to start my wood build, which will cover 2 things. It'll cover my wood build and my marine build.
Cheater!
My Titanic lifeboat. So, yeah, I'm getting itchy to start on that. So I'll probably get ready to get started on that, get that going.
Well, that'll be actually pretty good because something from what you were showing me several weeks ago, if not a few months ago.
Yeah,
that's a pretty involved build, that lifeboat.
Yeah, you get it's all frame and plank on frame, so it's going to take a little bit of building.
A little bit of building, yeah. Okay. How about you, Randall? What's going on there in the wee hours of the morning?
In the wee hours of the morning, not normally much, but within a whisker of finishing probably my first figure model ever. Lord Vader here.
Yeah.
The old
Yep.
AMP or MPC kit.
Mm-hmm.
And just working on the base. It's all about the base.
Mm-hmm.
I said that joke yesterday, sorry. Yeah.
But you make it. You've made it seem like you're polishing a turd on that kit.
Polishing a turd might have been easier. It's not the worst kit I've ever put together. I don't think. Lots of seams in it. Actually, I'm surprised how well a lot of it actually fitted, except for when I was putting the legs onto the main body. I got one leg fitted, and then set that on a flat surface, and then tried to square up the other leg. And you should have seen the gaps that left behind. Right. The front part fitted okay. The back part, well, it was almost like his britches were falling down.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
Yeah, but nothing a lot of epoxy putty couldn't fix.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Then it looked like he had an accident in his pants, but there you go. Actually, that's all hidden by the cloak.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You know, there was a screen share that I didn't do yesterday, and I'm going to try to conjure it up on Facebook. I think. Okay, I'm going to bring that up. For me, I'm kind of, like I said, in some ways, I'm doing a wood build as a backdoor thing. I'm building a workbench out of wood, dimensional wood. So I don't know. What do you think? Can I include that as a wood build?
On one scale?
Oh, it's 1-to-1 scale. It'll be at least practical.
That's a nice model. There you go.
It's not a. I have the Hellcat up there, and I opened it up, and I'm like scared of it. Actually, I don't know why. I just am. I mean, I have less issues with my thumbs and fingers getting half of an inch from a moving blade. I don't fear that as much as that thing up there.
That thing up there.
Oh gosh!
Are you talking about a normal kit or a wood kit?
Well, you know, I've been watching an awful lot of woodworking videos and getting all kinds of ideas to incorporate in this, and basically joinery, you know, and the like. And there's a manufacturer called Craig. They do a jig for pocket screws for pocket joinery. Basically, you can butt a board against another board, and then you got these screw holes that go down into an angle, and then into. So all you have is oval hole on one of the boards, which you could, of course, fill up with a dowel and then cut. You know, make it look real pretty.
No, if it's done on the inside of a leg up the top, it doesn't really matter. So,
well, I found one place where I'm going to do it, but I'm actually kind of winging it as I go along. It's up here, but I've been trying to draw it down on paper, and it's not translating.
yeah, you do the frame of the table, then the leg goes into the joint as it serves to a purpose to square up the table and to fasten the leg, and then you can pocket joint screw, side screw those legs into your side piece.
Yeah, best I can. Let's see. I got a marker here. You know what? I had a dry white. I even bought a dry whiteboard, but it's downstairs in the basement. I haven't got dry white pens. But what I got, basically, I'm going to draw stick figures here for you guys. What I have here is a front and back leg.
Yeah.
And then I got a cross member going here. Okay. and then one down here. And I'm basically, the legs are hollow, but the cross members are solid. I'm actually gluing 2 boards together to make them thicker, because I priced it out. If I get the high quality stuff with no knots, and I can get them in multiple dimensions, but it's like too expensive. It's like if I used like regular common boards, stick them together, sand them down real nice, they look good.
Yeah, if you get builder's grade rather than trim grade, yeah.
Well, like here, I think that here they call common boards and not.
Well, here you got builder's grade, trim grade, furniture grade. So
well, yeah, cabinet grade will be the furniture grade here. I guess we'll call it differently here in the States, but common boards is basically cheap wood. It has knots in it, so knotty pine.
yeah,
and actually this wood was produced in Sweden. That's what it says. So I plan on I got to make like 3 of these for a corner. I think in the past I did. This is to scale. This is actually an 8-foot section and an 8-foot section in a corner. This here is the corner, which will be right directly behind me. So it's going to go across the window, and it's going to come up back this way again.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to do it the opposite. Put the corner up in here. Go this way and this way. But if I did it that way, I won't get out of this room, which isn't a bad thing, I guess. I need to pee every now and again. I think that would be a bad thing. Peeing out the window, I don't think the neighbors like that. So, anyway,
real popular, you know.
George did like your railing there, Dave.
Oh, okay.
The message. So that's what I'm doing is get the desk together, and I hope, like I said, to be able to do some videos and do a storyboard and put it out there and to live and breathe in the world. So let us talk about the differences between metal, other than the obvious. If you put a solder iron to paper, paper burns. Do you have tabs on your metal parts? Because I know in paper there is such a thing.
Well, on the thing that I'm working on, a lot of it was all flattened out, and you had to form it. So on the back of it, there's score lines, and that's where you bend it. And you got to be real careful. I actually got a pair of sheet metal pliers to use, and that way you can get precise angles when you're forming it. And the scores are on the back of it, and all the details on the other side. And so you bend it, and then when you get to your basic shape, then you use the solder to attack it together. Or in this situation, there were some real thick cast pieces that on each end of the hoods, and the deck that it sits on, that was several pieces, and the very fronts are cast pieces. But yeah, there's like on the brass, when it's cast, there's just like plastic parts. They're like on a tree, some of them, and you have to cut all that flashing off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, actually, I can show you real quick. I got. So this is the box that it came in. Okay.
Oh shoot! That's it.
That's the box it came in.
Yeah.
And it was just a bunch of pieces in there. But I'm getting. Let me see if I can. Like here's a good example of a cast piece which I did not put on. This is a visor that goes into the cab, sun visor, and you can see all
Yeah, I can see it.
The detail on it. I mean, it's very, very detailed. And but some of that you would cut off, and But that's kind of like the stuff you're dealing with. And then this is all scrap stuff that, you know, from the castings or the metal that I was forming, stuff that you cut off. But you can use it for, you know, if you have to scratch build something.
Yeah.
And then this here, I have extras. That was the I started putting that together, and I said, I'm not going to put the cab in it. I'm going to have windows on it anyway, so I like not to do that. But anyway, these are like the MU connectors. They're already on the front, but these here are actually rubber, and you cut them to length depending on how you're running them. And there's little end pieces, which it's not on this one, but there's just extra ones that was in the kit. But you get all kinds of assorted stuff. I mean, you get, like, this is in the kit, this extra stuff, long strips of brass.
Wow.
Rods, square iron, angle iron, I-beam.
Yep.
I mean, it's just like building the real thing. I mean,
yeah.
And it's extremely strong when you start putting it together. It's like when you first do it, you go, man, this thing's kind of wimpy. And then after a while, you go, man, this thing's like a rock, you know? And let's see. And these are just assorted screws that I bought to use on it and stuff. And I always get extra. And so and then of course the plans, they're out in the garage, but a lot of them are just hand drawn. I mean, and it's all subject to interpretation, and on the instructions it says it's up to the modeler to build it the way they want to, because
The way they want to, yeah.
Because there's so many variations of like that thing that I'm working on now, the GP9, because General Motors made it, their electromotive division, but depending on the railroad, like Union Pacific, Western Pacific, Pennsylvania Railroad, it might be the basic unit, but they all have like maybe different headlight arrangements, electronic bells, different dynamic brake systems on it. The cab layout might be different on it. The horn layout, I mean, on the front end, different the way that they do the coupler and railing. And so what you do is you do your own research. You go on the websites and you look at actual photographs.
Right.
As far as putting this thing together, I used all different methods. I used an electro welding. It's an optical tool, but it worked good for a couple things. I usually use my torch on it. I have my stained glass soldering iron. It gets about 1,000 degrees. I have a variable thermostat on it. It gets really hot. I use that in some spots, and then my little electronic one I use for electronic soldering. It just depends. I found that one thing wouldn't work on anything. Like the railing, I actually used my torch on that. I just kind of flashed it, and because it didn't take any effort at all to melt the solder, because it's such a tiny wire. Thing gets red hot immediately, so you got to back off of it.
Right. But you like in photo etch, like what you're doing plastic vinyl, not in photo etch, it's suggested that you I don't know what the word for it is that you hold a lighter to it and you just burn it basically, and then what is it called?
Peeling.
And that makes it a lot easier to bend and especially bend and fold. Do you have a folding brake?
You mean like? Well, I have a 19-inch one.
Yes.
Brake.
Yeah.
See, I don't have that. I have just it's a hand tool. It's called sheet metal plier, and it's got a thick thing on it. I've got a couple different ones. I got one that's good for 45s.
Okay.
But if you do, and what you do is you clamp it just shy of the line, and you just basically just put it against the table and just kind of use your weight and lean it up, and it folds it perfect.
Yeah. The advantage of having a table brake like this, like they're about $30. So they're not expensive. A small one like this, you put your job in it, and then once you put it in, you just clamp it down with some clamps into the. You clamp it down like that with your metal or your job in between it, and that holds it in position until you hold the brake, and then put whatever angle that you want into it up to 90 degrees. Yeah.
And you can do brass with that, James?
You can do brass, you do aluminum.
Okay.
And I've done lots of paper with it too.
Yeah, I wish I had one of those. That'd have made my life a lot easier.
I'm sure if you work, and I did come across this on YouTube, you can make them yourself. You can make them yourself if you a little handy with basically thumb screws and clamps. You can probably create something yourself. And I saw something like, oh gosh, months ago about this, because I had the photo etch for the Millennium Falcon, and I was too busy and lazy to put together a little break. It would have been, I would have probably made the folds better if it was that way.
For the photo etch, you can get that,
right?
Which is a little break for doing photo etch,
right? Made by Graphics. Yeah. They make them. They make them very tiny. What you showed was a pretty big one.
Yeah, this is a 30-inch one. Like I said, it's about $30. You can pay from Harbor Freight.
And you can get even smaller.
Then you can get the small tool. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
But this has been a lifesaver as far as folding photo etch parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you work in the metal, it's nice having those little vices and breaks. It just makes it go together a lot faster. And it just amazes me the detail that they can get in that. It's just unbelievable. Better than you can do with the plastic. It just really adds another dimension of realism to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I found interesting, you were just saying that you have a solder iron, a torch. You do what is it, electro soldering? What's that?
Yeah, it's basically it just runs a current. It's like a spot welder, but it's was used when we used to repair frames. It's called a hot fingers, and basically what it does is you put like a staple in it between the jaws. And when you push the button, the thing gets red hot because it's running a current through it, and you just sink it down into, like, say, if somebody had a broken bridge, you can kind of temporarily fix it, and it buries it down in the plastic, or like the hidden hinge on your glasses on the plastic frames. They're just heated up and sunk in there. Yeah. Sometimes they break or they pull loose. Well, you can go back and just put these little clear acrylic balls. Well, they're not acrylic, they're Xyl, and then you just reflow it, and it's like new again. But I said, gee, I bet I could do that for that. And it worked. There was something I really couldn't get at with the way I was doing it. So I did it, and it worked. Not intended for that. But they do sell those. And if one was working with a lot of brass models, I would probably definitely would invest in one because it makes it really, really clean.
You can get small. They're made for the jewelry industry, the small little arc welders or brazing machines that are small ones. Yeah.
It makes it look really nice and clean, so you don't have really any mess to clean up like you do like when the way that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So. Have you ever had the need to use a flux or something to get the solder to spread? Or
you
want to keep it from happening?
Yeah, you have to flux it because otherwise your solder doesn't flow.
Yeah.
And what I switched to is this. It's called silver ball bearing solder. It's got silver in it. It's three or four times stronger than regular solder, but you don't have to heat it up it's like 100 degrees less heat versus regular solder. And they use it in jewelry, but it worked. That's what I did the railing with, and it's extremely strong. And then the steps and stuff, when I repositioned them, I took them off and I cleaned it up and I used that jewelry solder on it, and works really good. Actually easier to work with because it's like a paste, and you can put it right where you want it, and then you just put the part together. You just flash it, and then when it turns real silvery, which is like about a second or two later, you're done. And it's strong, really strong.
Wow. Wow, it's almost like heat-activated epoxy.
Something like that.
Something like that. So there's really, other than the material, there's not much of a difference between that and paper, other than
No, just your techniques. That's all.
yeah.
Your techniques and your adhesives are different.
Uh-huh. But I'm surprised to hear that you're using a break on paper.
Oh yeah, I would like something like my my space dock. I never would have been able to fold that without the break. Not made it look half decent. The
Well, that's
break was the
because you cut out the openings and then you had to fold it. Yeah.
You're having to fold over quite a long.
If you got to fold over a distance, the break makes it so much easier. To try to do it manually, you do a little bit. You got to use two tools, and you sit there and fold it a little bit at a time, and working at about like a quarter of an inch at a time, and work your way along. And it's so much work. And the break makes it so much easier. You just line it all up, clamp it down, lift, and you're done. You know.
Does there? I would be. Would you need to? Well, the metal, I think you might score, but
You score, but you'd make a pencil mark. You make a pencil mark into it, and we can wrap these. You know, you just make a pencil mark across your paper. You know, to where you want it to be. You know, and then you just once you put it into your break, then you fold it up. This is just rough, but it's just to give you an idea. You know, then you get a perfect
Nice
straight
clean
bend.
joint. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes
That's
it
it.
so easier.
oh yeah, you were saying. Well, I'm thinking paper. I'm not thinking cardstock.
Yeah.
Cardstock has more body to it than I'm thinking. So that means that a break would work rather nice.
Yeah.
But I would think if you have, I mean, you do have tabs on. I think you would use some sort of break for that, particularly. I'm not sure.
You have different ways of folding too. The other thing is that with smaller folds, you do a scoring. You score the paper, and then it'll fold along the score lines.
Right.
And you can do the same thing with tin and your photo etch too. If you score it, but not with too sharp a thing, but with a ball blade or something, or a dull scribe, you can run it on your tin for your photo etch, your small etch, and you can fold it along that line. So it's the same idea.
Well, I've also seen you curl paper using the metal rods.
Yes.
Against like a mouse pad, and you curl the paper.
Yeah, well,
you
use soft
passes.
Mouse pad is nice because it's rubberized.
Not
too soft. Like you can't use a piece of foam; it's too soft. But the rubber mouse pad is just it's soft enough and stiff enough when you're working on the table that it allows the material to work into it, so you can get a nice curve to it.
Have you ever had the need, Dave, to do a curve like that? Because I'm thinking of your locomotive, and I'm not sure if I've seen any curves.
The railing you had to form, and I used actually a hemostat to do that. And because I didn't want a real sharp bend, I just kind of wanted
a curve bend, yeah,
just a slight curve to it.
Yeah.
Again, I had to look for reference material, and so yeah. So like, let me grab it here.
But you know what I mean when I said to Jim about a metal rod against a mouse pad, because he rolls it's like rolling out dough, and
Yeah.
the paper just ends up curling. More passes you make, more of a curl you get.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can do the same thing with metal.
Mhm.
You can do the same thing with metal. Like you would do that. It would be just like you're doing big sheet metal. You use a device called an English wheel, which will do the same sort of a job for making a curve in the metal. But you can do something similar to that using a metal roller and that as a die type thing.
Like this. See, like this here is more of a round,
Yeah.
and then this one is where this one's a little more.
Yeah. You can also you can get wire bending jigs.
Yeah.
You can get wire bending jigs, and they're basically like a metal plate with a bunch of slots in it, so that you can get your curves and your bends and your metal wire like that. So there are tools out there for that if you're doing it all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, George is listing a lot of things that you can get on eBay. I've seen them too. Star Wars, NASA, Batman. I've even seen some Star Trek metal kits.
Yeah.
I don't think they're very large.
Are you talking about like the Metal Earth?
Yes, that's what he was bringing up, the Metal Earth.
The Metal Earth kits? Yeah.
Yeah. And Mark says his wife did the R2-D2. Never heard her swear so much. Mark, you didn't know she had that in her lexicon, did you?
Here floating around.
There you go. Oh, yeah, it's got all the textures and stuff on it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're pretty small kits, aren't they?
Yeah. No, they're actually quite tiny. But you got to be careful of them because they're not brass. They're a tin alloy. You only get to bend them once, so you got to make sure you're bending it the right direction and correctly the first time.
Right.
If you bend it the wrong way straight out, guaranteed the tab's going to break off.
Yep.
And Mark said he laid a holy doo-doo and says that looks amazing. Yeah, you didn't see it the first time you were showing it, I guess. That does look amazing, that locomotive.
Thanks. Thank you.
You've been at it for a while now on that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't work on it for probably about three or 4 months because we moved and stuff and just busy doing stuff. And I just said, man, I need to get high gear and start working on this thing again. And,
right.
Because after this, then I'm going to finish up that Space 1999 Comlock.
Yeah.
And I did find me, thanks to I'm going brain dead here. He steered me to a place. I got one that's got a touch screen on it, that little screen. So
the little screen, the little LCD screen.
Yeah, little 2.8-inch screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a gentleman, and I can't think of his name. He only models in the winter time. He does RC during the summer, and we were talking about some of these models that you can actually mount cameras on the inside, because we were just saying, I mean, some modelers go the whole 9 yards and do an interior, whatever the model might be. It could be a Spanish galleon. It could be, some sci-fi thing. Now you got the locomotive. You're not going to do the interior, but you can do interior. I was sort of like making the complaint, even do all that work and never to be seen again. He says, well, you can mount little cameras in there if you wanted to. Like, what? He's like, yeah, you can mount cameras inside your models if you're doing an interior, and you can actually access that on your iPhone. Oh, yeah. RC people do it all the time.
That sounds like you could do that with the Enterprise refit, the shuttle bay.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of the detail inside that you would never see again once
It's just hidden. Yeah.
you've installed it. So if you put a camera roughly where Kurt's point of view was when he boarded,
Right.
you can do that. I'd love to
Yeah.
see something.
Most certainly too. I mean, you can even do it from the bridge, and you can look inside the bridge, and then in reverse, it'll be like this.
Open the turbo lift door and just looking into the bridge. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
All right, and I haven't seen him in a while. It's been over a year that he stopped, and I can't remember his name. He only showed up occasionally, but he even occasionally does post. But he doesn't have like a work area. He uses a kitchen table, which he can't do in the winter or the summer. I don't know. It has something to do with his kids. Bob joined us from work. He's at work, and too bad for him. Sorry that you're at work, Bob. Yes, the Metal Earth Lunar Rover looks pretty cool. I've seen that too. He's also mentioned he's going to an NMRA convention next month. He says that's going to be in Kansas City. I'm thinking KCMO, not KCKS. KCMO, the Kansas City in Missouri. Yeah, and there's a Jersey Fest that's going to be the weekend after when is that, Bob? You said you're going there next month. That would be, of course, August. Yeah, I should look that up. But the Jersey Fest is going to be in the weekend after Labor Day. That's going to be actually a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you're on our live chat and there's a show that you want to, shout out to and have mentioned right now in this show, we'll do it, of course. But so that's that. I mean, for that, going back to what we were talking about, a little detraction from, having cameras inside your models.
Yeah.
But you're going to actually make this full functional, and it's going to be on a track. Is it for a layout for someone or for yourself that you're doing this for, or just for display purposes?
It's for myself, but it's for display. But yeah, it'll have sound and everything in it. And the sounds are actually off that locomotive. It's Tsunami is the board that I've used them before. I saw a thing that Train World, they have they're in New York, and they have a lot of reps that come out, and they had a guy from that not the CEO, but somebody high up in the company. So they actually send a film or an audio crew out to the site, and they're out there for like a week to 2 weeks, and they in the yard or wherever that, and they capture all the sounds, and they're all digital, and they're very meticulous. So what you hear is from the real deal. And so that'll have that in there. It'll have lights in it. The number boards will be lit up. The headlights will be lit up. There'll be like a Mars light on each end of it. There'll be the red and green marker lights on it. Like I said, I want to get all the body work done on it, and then I get it primed, get it painted, then I'll start putting all the electronics in it. And then because the other part's pretty much all done, just run some plumbing on it, And
yeah, I watch on a monthly basis. He puts out a video. I think Patterson's last time. He does the YouTube channel's name. In fact, I'm trying. I brought it up before in the past. I just think this guy's amazing. He Scale Railroad magazine. He's outside of St. Louis too. And he does all this wonderful stuff. And the reason I watch him is because the scenery. I mean, there's a lot of scenery in model railroading, and a lot of times he has some great ideas for scenery. And if you wanted to put your static build into
Yeah, diorama. Yeah.
diorama and the like. Uh, and he's just fun to watch. I mean, he comes up with all kinds of stuff, and he does talk a lot about the soundboard. Tsunami is the brand that he's brought up many times, and he goes to different layouts. He travels a little bit to enthusiasts who have their basements all decked out in multiple layers, like a cake, even like 3-4 layers, depending on how much your ceiling can handle. You know, model railroaders are actually quite interesting people. They never stop working on their layouts. Never.
Yeah.
They never stop.
And see, I work on a real railroad, so I do that part time, for fun. Well, it's not really for fun, but sometimes we have to replace ties or fix a switch or something. It's track maintenance and stuff. But we'll go on runs and stuff, and it's pretty cool. So it's kind of nice because we have the real thing, because we do have a Baldwin. I forget the actual model on it, but we do have a Baldwin locomotive. We don't. It's basically not landlocked. We have a section track that it's on.
Yeah.
It hasn't been fired up for about 8 years. It needs new batteries. We have a couple of diesel mechanics that work on locomotives that are members. So they said, when we're ready to get it run, they'll go and get it to where it'll fire up again. But it's kind of interesting to see the way that they build it, because I look at it and say, well, that's the way it is in a real thing. So I don't feel so bad. I don't have to be so neat on it, So, and they're dented up and stuff, and things are bent up and stuff. So just depends on how real you want to make it look. But there are a lot of really serious railroaders out there, and they will take their model. They will put a section of track that's all weathered. They weather the locomotive, and you'd be very hard pressed to tell that was actual model. You think it's the real deal. They do such a good job on it. I mean, it's unbelievable what they do on it. And I seen a couple of guys. I swear he was like at a junkyard, and you're looking at this thing, but it's a model. And,
yeah, this guy has dioramas, working dioramas that his trains can actually move on to take. He takes photographs for the actual magazine, railroad magazines, model railroad magazines, and the angle that he takes the pictures on, he uses a real sky and real sunlight, and just brings a whole new dimension to realism in its photography. But again, National Train Show, August 10th to 12th. Ken Patterson, that's him. Ken Patterson? Yeah, that's Ken Patterson. He does What's Neat segments. What's neat, and I just think it's really corny, but it seems to work for him. But no, I mean, I have to say there's a lot of crossover between specific genres and disciplines and techniques and stuff. And again, like I said, I watch him just for the inspiration of one of these days that if I get the right model, that I would take, put it up on a table and use a real sky to get an effect. But he lives on his hillside overlooking the Mississippi River Valley, and it's just perfect for what he does. And he's even done nighttime shots with the moon in the background. And he's also quite a photographer himself by his own right.
Yeah, model railroading covers so many different genres. I mean, you've got the metal working, you got plastic working, you even got paper. There's so many buildings available for your layouts that are actually paper models. Bridges that are built out of wood kits. There's car kits that are wood kits. So, I mean, you're covering everything, metal, wood, paper, everything in that genre.
There's two trends that I've seen from watching him, and this is something that you would deal with paper. A lot of model skill railroaders
Yeah.
find the balsa kits to make buildings on the expensive side. So now they've opted to do it on paper.
Yeah.
And I did see one of his shows. He went to a layout where the guy only does paper buildings. And they look every bit as good as the balsa ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird. This is my point. Because, if let's say, I don't know, let's take a terminal station like out in the countryside or a station.
Classic station.
Classic station. We're not talking about like Grand Central in New York. And a kit like that can cost as much as $100, if not more, depending on the level of detail it has.
Yeah.
But these paper kits you can buy for like maybe $10-20, and what you do is you print them, which makes it much cheaper. So if you're taking pictures, Boulder Creek Railroad is a good channel to watch. Mark, I'm going to write that down. Boulder Creek
Railroad.
Boulder. I think I've heard of that through Ken's channel.
Mm-hmm.
He also come across some guys who do paper trees and stuff. It's just you cut down on the costs of their hobby. So let's see. This is just a diversion. I'm going to screen share this as a diversion. Where are you? We'll get back into talking more about this because I wanted to do this so badly yesterday. Dark Pit shared this.
Oh my!
Wow.
This was on the.
Wow. That's a big model.
1-to-1 scale. Spitfire. Of course, not the whole airplane. If it's a collector, he's got more money to burn than I have ideas.
Yeah.
I wonder how heavy that thing is.
What's that?
I wonder how heavy that is.
It's probably not as heavy as it looks.
Yeah.
It might actually be one of those fiberglass or part of one of those fiberglass replicas that were just to use as gate guards in former RAF stations.
Well, if you look at it for the engine kit, it's only got 2 stacks.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, I was on Facebook that he had shared that.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, most certainly. Let's see, Boulder. Let's bring up YouTube. It's going to take a bit of time. And just going to these different channels. There is a guy on the Google Plus community. Dogotran Holmebar.
Yeah, the one that puts out the model railroad videos.
Yeah, he has a camera in his trains, and he takes videos of them moving about his layout.
Yeah.
It's the same layout, but every time he posts a video, it just seems like it's a different layout.
Apparently, he's getting ready to tear that layout out, rebuild, and build a new one.
I don't have the heart. I would have the heart.
They get bored with it and they just want to change it all up. So.
Yeah, right. I'm going to screen share the page. There he is, right there. For those of you who wish to know more about the Trenholm Junction, there's a link in the section of notes below to the blog. Although the links are to specific items, there's a lot of articles in a blog. Click through and have a look. I get a lot of requests for monochrome versions of the films that he does.
Yeah.
which I find interesting. But a lot of well, he's in Britain. I'm sure he is, because a lot of the stuff that he shows off is British railroad stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean the channel I watch Ken on, he'll visit these guys that do these layout, and you were bringing up the locomotive. You can build it the way you want to. You did the research. You decided on Union Pacific, but you could do the Pennsylvania Railroad, etc. And you can do the different details in accordance to the railroad you're talking about. There are guys that will do a layout, and they'll actually do a layout of a specific section of a particular railroad in a particular era, like 1965, for instance.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of detail to really do the research on.
Yeah.
And they'll do something because they one guy did a layout frozen in time from years ago because he did the railroad that he fell in love with as a boy, and he created that in his layout. What are you guys doing there? Actually, like Mark Twain, must be single, no wife, would allow that her living room. What is this going on here? On the live hangout, they're having just a conversation. Maybe I shouldn't paraphrase, because I have no idea what they're talking about. All right, here I am. Let's see. What was it? Boulder Creek Railroad, right? Okay. Navigation window. Share. Might as well share my navigation. Oh, there's Luke right there. Oh, okay. It's under his name. Boulder Creek. I don't know. You getting this video here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, it's not going to happen.
Got black.
It played okay whenever you had it on. Oh, hang on.
There we go. Now we got it.
He's an Aussie. He's doing a waterfall here in this video.
Oh. It's quite the waterfall.
Right.
So just yep. So I am going to do this. I'll subscribe to it just so that
You can go back there.
I'll go back there. Right. Okay. Well, thank you, Mark, for suggesting that. I don't know what they're talking about. It's kind of weird.
Kind of weird.
I don't know. I mean, it's sort of like walking in on a conversation, and it's like you can think of it about something, but it probably isn't, most likely. But that would be metal, paper, and model. Boy, we found something to talk about for the past hour. But no, I'm not much of a. I will never have a layout. When I was a kid, I thought I would get into it. I thought that would be a natural progression into my modeling passion, but it's just, I don't know. There's just something about model railroading is that I never lived in one place. And there
Long
were times, yeah, when I was in my 20s, I moved all the time.
Yeah.
And now, you know, I'm working towards retirement. I'm going to move again, but probably, and I just can't see the point in having a railroad layout.
Well, I grew up with one because my father was in the model railroading HO, but we had a ranch style house, and so it had a huge basement, and he had a huge layout in that downstairs. So
I did come across an acquaintance whose husband did a layout, and I was over her house one time, and they live in central Pennsylvania, and I was told that he's really into model railroading. I'm like, I would not figure. Oh yeah, he's got a layout and everything. And let me show you. And she took me to the attic ladder, and she said, climb up this ladder and just stick your head into the attic. And when I did, though, sure enough, there was a train layout up there. I think you were at the crest of the roof, and from my head to the crest of the roof was probably about maybe 3.5 feet. And of course, the roof went like this, and then he had this layout spread out in front of you when you stuck your head up there. And he actually had paper buildings. He had buildings made of notebook paper.
yeah.
And he had actually drew on crayon on the paper to color them and to put detail on them. It was hilarious. And she said that he didn't have enough money devoted. And in fact, the trains that he used were the old Lionel from the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And he just laid it out, and it was pretty extensive, I got to admit, from what I remember. But he had notebook paper stapled and glued to be looking like buildings, and he used crayons to color them. Talk about being on a budget and die-hard hobbyist. Back to work, Bob. It was nice seeing you on your break. Yeah, make some money, because you're going to need it when you go to that show. So, yeah, that's one thing I remember personally about a train layout. There's a train layout in the Science Center, Carnegie Science Center in town. I should go and take some pictures. It's vintage Pittsburgh with the what somebody called the funiculars, but they're actually called them inclines. They're basically cabs on rails up a steep hill. There's a couple dozen of them on top of this mountain. We call it Mount Washington, but it's basically a cliffside. But now there's two. And now they did Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, because Mr. Rogers is from Pittsburgh. So they did a section of Mr. Rogers. So, yeah, when they revealed that, I was like, you know what, I got to go. I have fond memories of Mr. Rogers. I've even met the man. Just as he was on TV, he was just like that in person. There was no difference between his TV persona and his real life persona. So yeah, one of these days I'm going to go down there and do a video of that. So yeah, I've learned a lot from woodworking videos and model train videos. So is there any kind of, do you guys watch different channels to get ideas or learn something new?
Yeah, all the time. I'm watching different videos from, all different hobbies. I watch RC ones. I watch, model railroad, model shipbuilding videos, and figure figure videos, and doll videos. If you want to learn about figures, how to do figurines and painting figurines, watch doll videos. Those guys have the techniques down for, especially for painting faces and that.
Right. Right. Do you think you would, well, because metal railroading is starting to incorporate 3D printing, printing cars for their car locomotives.
Yeah.
Rolling stock.
Yeah. You think you would ever get into, when it comes to paper or metal, is 3D printing, is there a spot there for 3D printing?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, definitely. Especially for, with model rail, for all the accessories and stuff like that. Yeah. I would think the huge possibility for 3D printing and use in model railroading and that.
Yeah. You can do your buildings or cars or just little accessories.
Line accessories and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Park benches.
Yeah.
Benches, bridges, standards, all that stuff could all be 3D printed.
Sidewalk. I mean, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it seems to have gone full circle, there was a time when it was the railroad modelers who were sort of the innovators.
Yeah.
I think a lot of photo etch was used by railroad.
Came out of the model railroading industry. Yeah.
Long before us regular. Well, I would hasten to say, be hesitant rather to say normal.
Yeah, I'd say photo etch came out of model railroading, and so did lighting models came out of model railroading.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, with the advent of the LED, I think it made more sense to do lighting for what we do.
Yeah.
Most static models. What is it, rice grain?
The grain of wheat bulbs were very
grain of wheat. I might say rice. Grain of wheat. You can burn them out pretty easy, and they are not as bright. They're pretty lame when it comes to the brightness. It's the same thing that the Christmas lights used to be made of. They're not made that way anymore. They're LEDs.
No.
Yeah. But well, I do. I mean, I wonder if that layout is any different down at the Science Center. I got to go down. I have to go down. And there's also, I don't know if you guys would have any interest talking about maybe the next time about Lego.
They have photo etch for Lego now?
Photo etch to brass to Lego to paper. I mean, hey, it's all modeling,
Oh, I watched a video of a Lego helicopter RC.
No kidding.
They converted the Lego helicopter Techniques kit to RC. Yeah.
Wow.
No, say it's not so.
Yeah.
Yes, it is so.
Yeah, well, it's I think I'm in a bizarre hobby, but you know what? Every now and again, like right now,
yeah,
I am finding out there's people that are crazier than I deal with on a daily basis.
It's like the fisherman. No matter how big the fish is that you've fished out of the sea, they're bigger still in it.
Oh yeah.
Right. All right, George, Mark. All of a sudden, with Bob gone, you two got really quiet. Yeah, get talking on that live chat. I'm looking for more screen shares, actually. Let's see, let's go.
You start getting quiet, you start getting worried.
It's like the kids. It's okay. You yell at them because they're fighting and are screaming at the top of their lungs at each other, but you worry even more when they're quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm looking on Google Plus. Let's close that out. Yeah, Bob's doing the muscular dystrophy awareness muscle car group build. He's doing a 66 Pontiac GTO, 3 deuces and a 4-speed on a 389. That's more techno speak that I understand. Hey, this might be something to screen share. Why not? Bob is actually a very good modeler. See, there's just my speedy computer. There's a dashboard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Not bad. Look at that steering wheel. Gosh, that takes me back.
Now that's a steering wheel.
Yeah. Pontiac certainly knew how to make steering wheels.
Mm-hmm.
He even got the transmission lever. Here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
That's good. The automatic transmission lever on the column as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like.
He does have a body shot in here somewhere. There it is.
That's it. Yeah.
Used a nice color.
Good old basic GTO. Yeah.
Yeah. The yellow interior. And he says he uses, there's these things that are furniture movers. He says the downside is up in his picture. You flip it over, you stick the furniture to first, it's supposed to glide over your carpeting. And he says when he works at Walmart, he saw this. He says, "Oh, this will make a nice display," and it certainly does.
Yeah.
So there's an idea.
Yep. They're already finished. You don't need a.
Well, they're black. He paints them to what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like black or cream colored. And then he just paints them with what they want. But they got like a fabric on the one side for a slider, so makes it a soft thing to put on your shelf.
Perfect size for 24 scale cars.
Yeah.
George and Mark said they're awake and still there. So, okay, good. As long as you're not causing trouble. You don't want me to come back there. Break it up. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. Look. Look at that. Little springs in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got the proper hood hinge in it. Yeah.
Well, be darned. Bob, you did a good job. Did a really good job.
I love watching his car modeling videos. I think to myself, why can't I do that?
It's got this somewhat cable. Well, the cable will come with a water hose. I don't know what this is.
That's hot water heater hose
Oh, okay.
coming out of the heater core. Turn hose, I think. Goes in the bottom, I think comes out the top.
Very nice, Bob. Really, really nice. Did you see the YouTube site called The Story?
The Story?
I think YouTube is kind of pushing that right now. It is the one with the submarine explosions underwater. George, how did you come up with that?
Is this the one, the U-boat that's getting hit by 2 torpedoes, where there's one where
Oh, that one, that diorama with the explosion.
Yeah.
Yes, that one's going all around the net. There's that video's going all around. It showed up on that story site, but it was elsewhere was being pushed around. So it's been around for a little while, that build.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was posted on the Facebook community a while ago, and just basically spent a good 5 minutes lifting my jaw up off the floor. It was that amazing.
Yeah.
With the U-boat exploding underwater.
Oh, those underwater dioramas just astound me to know how they're ever doing that type thing.
Right. Right. And yeah, how and it's all in resin too. It's actually looking like it's underwater. It's all like in resin.
Yeah.
How? Yeah. How? That's a good question. How? All right. I'm going to put Mark on the spot since he's in our chat. This guy, he's actually quite amazing. Yes, Mark, you are quite amazing. With the level of detail that you put into your builds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's being a fantastic build.
Just when I thought he was done, surprise, surprise, he's not. He's got more work. He's got the panel lines done good.
He took what was probably one of the better detailed Star Wars models that are out there and went to the nth degree with it.
Yeah.
I mean, just with the extra plastic that he added to it alone. And then it's all lit.
Yeah, it's all lit.
And he used brass gun barrels that are intended for, I think, a 48 scale Lancaster for the turbo lasers on the turrets on the along the sides there.
Mm-hmm. Back to the submarine underwater, George says there is some video on how I'm doing it. Yeah, the explosions were made of cotton and LEDs. That much I figured, but how he got it inside resin is what I find fascinating.
Yeah, without the cotton collapsing when you pour the resin in.
Right, right. Yeah, how would you go about doing that? That's the thing. But again, we look at something like Mark's and scratch our heads. How'd you do that, Mark? Yeah, like to me, it's these panel lines.
Yeah.
It's got, like, if you look, I mean, I don't know if you can see my cursor here, but he's got these streaks, right?
Yeah.
So flat surfaces, but he's got this nice.
He's got the panel lines as well as the individual plates are being highlighted. Yeah.
Well, I think what I think is the arsenal that he has, the know-how that he uses. It's called patience, fellas. It's called patience. It isn't anything else but patience. What, 172 B17? Not sure what that means, Mark. But I did just screen share something yesterday that was a warplane. It was pretty clean, and it was a Air Force.
Oh, this was the B-36?
B-36, yeah.
That was the 72 scale monogram kit.
Big kit.
Gun barrels on the Star Destroyer. Oh, really? The gun barrels on the Star Destroyer was from the 172 B-17 kit.
Oh, 72, right. Hey, I knew it was a World War II bomber. I got the wrong one. Sorry, Mark. It's an age thing, yeah. I only read it this morning, but yeah.
I think we should do it. I think this is a George Barris vehicle.
Ah, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Pie Wagon.
Yeah.
I think that's the only picture he's got. Yeah.
Somebody's doing the Red Baron, but they want to redo all the chrome on it. He wants to strip all the chrome and redo it.
Mm-hmm. And this is an example when you take something out into the natural sunlight. I'm going to, on the Google Plus community, this is Lee and one of his motorbikes.
Yeah. Come on. There. Yeah.
Yep.
You can even see
he does such a nice job with his bikes.
Yeah, he does. The shine coming off that tailpipe is like really real.
I swear it was a real thing.
Sure.
It's excellent.
So when you get your locomotive painted there, Dave, what primer and paint are you going to use?
Well, actually, I'm going to use, it's an automotive primer. What's the name of it? It's not Krylon, it's something else, but it's real good because you can sand it. You wet sand it. What I like about it. And it's a high fill sander, high build, so you get something you want to hide, you just hit it a couple of times and sand it.
Yeah, it's
an automotive primer. It's out of a rattle can, lays down really good. In fact, that cab that was it, but obviously it's all screwed up now because I've been working on it. So, but that's easy to fix. So I'm not worried about that. And then as far as the paint on it, then I'll use an airbrush on that. My friend, I'm going to borrow his airbrush because I don't have one right now. I used to have one. I don't know what happened to it. So anyway, got lost in a move or something.
Yeah, a few of those happen. I thought I had something, and I lost it in a move. It just didn't come with me. A sewing machine comes to mind, and I don't ask me why I had a sewing machine, but I did have a sewing machine. I have no idea when that, because I did one time actually put together my own. I was giving fabric, and I thought went on to like garage sale, found a sewing machine for like $10. Made my own curtains. It's just basically
Jack. That's a crossover modeling. See,
is it
1-to-1 scale? There you go.
Yeah,
I haven't figured on that. There is something that I did as a kid and have done. Maybe not recently. I think the most recent was probably in the past 6 years. I actually have 2 macrame plant hangers on the front porch. I macrame'd them, and it's a double decker. Yeah, I've tied all those knots, and made it, and they're still out there. I think they're going to be out there for another few years. Jute lasts a long time out in the outdoors, but they're out there winter, summer.
Yeah.
They don't come in, and they're actually looking pretty good now that they're weathered.
Yeah.
But I have the tendency to say, I like to have one of those, and I'll just indulge and make it. But it's not something I'd want to do all the time because it's just too tedious. It is way too tedious. This is why I asked you about your locomotive. It's like you've been working on it for a while, but you did say you took some time off on it.
Yeah. And when I get it all painted up, I'll actually take it out on the railroad and I'll photograph it out there, and I'll do a forced perspective with the track out there, out in the yard, so it'll look real when it's all done.
That'll be nice. I'll be looking forward to that for sure. For sure. Anyway, I think we murdered enough time. What do you guys think?
Probably getting close to it.
Yeah.
I think we did pretty good. We did an hour and a half so far. We got a little late start, you know. I know Mark was waiting, and he was probably what are these guys? It's like 5 after 7. They haven't started yet.
We were gassing too much, yeah.
What we were talking about? Cost of living in California versus Pennsylvania. That's what we were talking about. You know, that's the kind of thing that we indulge in the 48-hour hangout. When we do them, we just talk about stuff like that, and we model and drink booze at the same time. And I know Randall didn't say much in this episode, but he certainly got a lot of modeling done, didn't you there, Randall?
Oh, yeah. As we were talking, managed to add Vader's lightsaber.
No, he lost his head.
Oh, yeah.
I left the head off because I didn't want to get it. I can see.
Yep.
Oh, that looks a lot better than the original. Yeah.
Yep.
It's good.
Looks real good.
It is.
I can get it without.
And that's what you worked on?
Mm-hmm.
George was being a wise ass. He said that I could do slip covers for the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, he lost his head over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was after wasn't there a scene in Empire where Luke confronts him, or rather during his training or something like that? And
in the cave.
whacks the head off in the cave. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. We'll go with that. 2 weeks. Liam said that he's going to do the Across the Pond in 2 weeks. That would make it August 4th. Sunday, 2 weeks from today. Sorry, George, won't be around. Going to take a hiatus. I didn't think I was going to take one this year, but I'm going to take a hiatus just for a cycle, and I'm not sure when I'm going to return, whether it be the 18th or the 25th. That's a Saturday. Both are Saturdays in August for the beginning of our 6th season. And there's just some things I was tossing about, some ideas. I want to talk to my moderators about them, see how much willing to pitch in for this as far as executing something. So we can talk more about that later, fellas. But the 6 seasons, I always promise that there's going to be a bigger and better season. Well, there's a few things that happened. I'm trying to keep up with it, but certainly it's going to continue on. We'll figure on some more group builds too. So you got till the end of the year to do your wood build, your nautical build, and your real space build. And we'll figure on more builds next year too. We're still going to try to keep the tradition alive for the 6th 48-hour hangout. That's usually the Friday, what we commonly call Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving on through Saturday to Sunday morning for me. That's usually like a nighttime to a nighttime for Aussies, I think. We would like to have some people anchor them in different time zones if you are interested. And also, I am going to be coming out with a new, what do you call it, shop card. This is last year's. I got plenty of these. If you'd like a shop card yourself, drop me a line at scratchandjackmodels@gmail.com, and I will pay the postage for it to get to your snail mail address. No, I am not going to put a digital copy of it because I want it on a nice paper. I think Jim can appreciate that. And, right.
Right.
And I got plenty of them. I forgot to take to the Wonderfest because there was a table there. I could just toss them on a table. They would have been gone in an hour. That's just to do unabashed promotion of the community. But we're going to have new ones coming up for the new season. Well, really, that's it. I don't have much. And the hiatus is about the emptiness behind me. So maybe I can get that filled up and start modeling again. So I'd like to thank George and Mark and Bob who showed up for the live hangout. I do deserve a break, George. You know, doing this every other week, it does get a little, I don't know, interrupts plans. What am I going to do this Sunday night? I don't know. But Saturday mornings sometimes are really tough to get up because it's almost waking up for the job.
Yeah.
But I'll be fully vested in my pension in 5 years. We'll see what happens in the next 5 years. Also, I'd like to thank everybody, my moderators, Dirk, Liam, and of course, Randall over at the Facebook community. And on the Google Plus community, I have Bob, and I have Jim, and I have Jay, who I haven't seen in a long time. If you're watching, Jay, we're still thinking about you. Thank you for the 5 years. All of you have been with us, with me and with us, the community, for that length of time. Really appreciate your inputs. And Jim, you've always got me out of hot water like today. But it didn't seem like to have an idea, but Dave was more than happy to provide some insight on metal.
Yeah.
You know what, Dave, if you can find that video you did of Dr. Sticky or Mr. Sticky or Professor Sticky, whatever his name was, the guy with the glue factory, if you can post that again on the Google Plus, I think you're on Google Plus. If you can post that on Google Plus, I'll pass it on to Facebook, but I can't do it vice versa, which is kind of weird. But there were some people asking about glues, and I thought that would be a nice little video to make sure that's on the community again. So if you could post that, that's great. I was thinking about that the other day.
It's like 6 parts, and it's I think it's still posted on my Google page, but I'll forward it back to the community again. So. Yeah,
that'd be great. Great show as usual, Jack. See you in a couple weeks. No, George, not in a couple of weeks. I'll see you in 4 weeks. And thanks, Dave, for stopping by, as well as when Heath stops by, and when Liam stops by, and all the other folks that stop by part-time. But Dave, I hope to see you in the next, and then maybe in 4 weeks. Stay cool. I hope the fires stay away, and think of moving out of California.
Yeah. I'll move next to you. How's that?
Well, we don't have earthquakes. We get some bad storms, but some bad flooding. But you just got to be careful which part of the hill you live on.
Yeah.
You don't want to live at the bottom part of the hill. You want to live on top part of the hill. It's pretty hilly around here. Thanks, Jim, for always saving my skin. And we'll see you, of course, in season 6, and of course, all the other goings on. And Randall, thank you too.
You're welcome.
You say you don't do much, but you do quite a bit. You keep me well humored with your humor. We'll just call it that.
God knows I need something to keep me going.
So see you in 4 weeks for the start of the 6th season of the Amazing Scale Modelers Hangouts, as well as 6 years of this community. Thank you all for participation. Happy modeling, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Right.
Right.